here for Card Player TV, and I've got Matt Graham here with me. Thanks so much for coming.
No problem.
He's the winner of the $10,000 buy-in Pot-Limit Omaha Championship at the 2009 World Series of Poker. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now tell me how the event started for you. How was day one?
Day one, I got off to a really good start. Like the first 10 hands of the tournament, I got to go all in with top 2 pair against my top set for like 300 big blinds. So that was a good start. And then
Did you find that even in the $10,000 buy-in PLO event, there were a lot of weak PLO players?
Yeah, there were tons of people that were pretty clueless about PLO. I was one of them, probably. Seriously.
What's your experience in PLO before this?
Not a lot. A little cash here and there, just like experimenting with it, and then some like PLO tournaments online and World Series events, but not much at all.
Okay.
Basically,
not. So you kind of learned along the way.
With 25 people left going into day 3, it was. I said I'm pretty much guaranteeing the least experienced PLO player left in this tournament. Yeah.
Well, what are some of the mistakes that you found yourself making to be in the tournament while you were learning and going along, and the mistakes that you saw other beginners making?
I'm not sure I was making too many mistakes. I don't think. I'm not sure, maybe with my start hand selection, but I'm not sure though, because I still don't know if what I was doing was good or bad. It worked, but that doesn't mean that it was good. I made one really bad play where I called the guy's check raise. It was like a check raise all in on the turn with just top pair, top kicker, and a gut shot. And he had top set, but I did still have a jack to win, so. And
you hit it?
The jack hit.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, you said that a couple of times people called your all-ins with only top 2 pair when you had a top set too. So, is one of the mistakes that PLO players, beginning PLO players, are making is they just overvalue their hands without redraws?
Later on in the tournament, you know, if you flop top 2 pair, you're probably like getting it in unless it's a coordinated board because you're not as deep. But early on, it's just pretty ridiculous to get them in with 2 pair. Pretty sure.
Pretty sure.
Yeah.
When you're playing PLO in tournaments and you have like that strong hand, but you don't maybe have a redraw with it, is it ever right to just like see a card peel off a safe card? I
think it depends on the stack sizes. Like there's awkward stack sizes where you really don't want to raise and get called. You don't want to raise and get it in. I'm not sure about the dynamic of all that, but it definitely it depends on the player you're up against and your stack.
Okay. Going into the final table, how were you in chips?
I was a slight chip lead. It was very balanced chip stacks going into the final table. I had like 1.4 and then like 6th place had like 950,000.
Okay.
So.
Well, you said with 25 players left, you thought you were the least experienced. So were you intimidated at all going into the final table?
I was pretty nervous going into the final table. I mean, I'm saying the least experienced. I don't think I was the worst player left in the field.
Okay.
But I still was a little. I felt a little out of place, and you know, I still thought I could play though. I wasn't too worried, but I definitely had a lot of butterflies going in that final table.
Well, you said you came in with a chip lead, and I also know that you won a big pot with 2 tables left to go. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, I had about 450,000, and Matt Vingren had 420,000 probably. I don't remember because I think I had like 30,000 left if I called him this hand and lost. But what happened was he limped under the gun.
Well, first of all, is that like a play that people have been making is limping? I mean, the blinds were kind of big, weren't they?
It depends on stack sizes. Sometimes with certain hands, players will limp if their stack doesn't allow them to raise and call it a 3-bet.
Oh, okay.
If it's too much of their stack to call 3-bet, sometimes it might be better off limping. That way, they know they get to see the flop with a good drawing hand in case somebody has aces. Because when you're under the gun, there's lots of people who can wake up with 2 aces.
That definitely makes sense.
Yeah.
So you figured he had
a good drawing hand.
Okay. So you raised it up with your ace.
Ace 3-3, 1 suit maybe, or double suited. I think it was double suited, and that might not be my exact hand, but I think it was aces with another pair. And he called, which was expected.
Right.
And the flop came deuce 6-8 rainbow, and I let out for like 60% of pot. Kind of expecting him to fold, but he potted, and we counted it out. I didn't act on my hand instantly because I wanted to see how much he had behind. Because I'm essentially calling it all in. That was the situation. I wanted to see how much he had behind and what price I was getting. And think about his range of hands a little bit. And he had he had a little over pot, so I mean I had a little worse than 2-1 to call. And I really didn't know what to do because Matt was playing really solid, and you know, we're pretty good friends, and he, you know, I expect him to have something really good.
Maybe like a wrap with the 6-8.
Yeah, and my inexperience came to play here because I really did not know what to do. I wasn't sure if I didn't know if it was donkish to get it in or not, but I decided that I looked at my stack, and if I folded, I would have had 280,000, and I was just like, it would be too demoralizing because I had like 600 or 700,000 at one point before this hand. I had lost some chips, some pots, and I was like, if I fold here and with my 280,000, I don't know how well I'm going to play or what my chances are going to be of winning the tournament or even making the final table. So I decided to gamble, and he actually had 9, 10, Jack, King, I believe.
Okay, so a gutter ball?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was a huge favorite, which was obviously great to see. But then the Jack of Hearts hit the turn, giving him a wrap, a pair,
and a flush draw.
draw.
So major sweater on the turn.
And then another deuce hit the river.
Nice. So then that gave you confidence going into the final table, right?
And a lot more chips.
And a lot more chips, exactly. Yeah. One thing I was wondering is that obviously in Hold'em, when it becomes shorthanded, you have to open up your range of hands that you're going to play. So what kinds of hands are you mixing in when you get 3 and 4 handed in PLO?
Lots of double suited hands, and not necessarily all connectors, but you want like at least 3 cards that work together to open, or big cards because you have blockers of them waking up with big hands because everybody's playing so tight. When people like came over the top pre-flop, they were having aces and kings every time.
Okay.
Deep in this tournament, which I don't know if that's good or bad, but yeah. So blockers is good, and blockers are good. So.
And you're the comeback kid. Now they typed it up in the World Series of Poker 9-1, but you came back from a 13-1 chip lead or chip disadvantage, excuse me.
Twice, pretty much.
Yeah. What happened?
Well, we started heads up, and I had a small chip lead, and then he won a big pot against me where the first hand of heads up I flopped top set, but it came 3 flush out there, and I called a flop bet, a turn bet, and the river bricked, and he bet like pot, and I decided he just couldn't be bluffing, so I folded top set there, and I folded top set there, so now he had a nice lead, and then I started to chip away at him. I won like several pots in a row, and so I had a small chip lead, and then this hand came up. I raised, I think, and I had ace-6 in my hand. I don't know what else. Those were the cards that mattered on the board.
Okay.
And I checked to him, and he bet. It came ace-6-4 with 2 diamonds. I checked, he bet. I raised pot. He potted back. I'm like, well, I'm not folding top 2 heads up. I'm like, all in. You know, he obviously called, and he had an 6-4 bottom 2 with a flush draw.
Oh, okay.
But for PLO, that's a pretty good spot.
Yeah.
Like, you can be a lot worse off with that with top 2 pair. Like, that was a nice size favorite for the situation. But the queen of diamonds hit the turn, and I was down to like 700,000 chips with 900 in play.
Was that demoralizing, or were you just like, whatever, I can fight back again?
It was demoralizing for sure, but definitely not, okay, I'm going to give up now.
Right.
And I'm going to keep trying, do my best. But I had really good cheering section.
Oh, yeah.
Like 15, 20, probably 15 people at this point. It was like 4 or 5 a.m. And, you know, they kept cheering, like, whatever, we still got it, and all that. So that helped. And, like, I couldn't give up. They were all there to watch me play at this time in the morning, so I can't just give up. So then I won it all in, and then I started winning pots again. And finally I had the chip lead again, and I got queen, 7-8 double suited, and he raised, and a little history here, he had been raising, and I probably had 3-bet out of the big blind 2 or 3 times out of the past 10 hands,
Okay.
which is pretty high frequency. And so I pick up queen, queen, 7, 8, which is a good hand, heads up, I think. And he raised, and I decided to go ahead and get it in because I thought was frustrated and would get it in with worse hands. So I 3-bet, intended to get it in, and then he like instantly potted all back. And then I started to change my mind. I'm like, damn, he did that so quickly.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I was like, I can't. I got to go with my plan. I'm getting it in with this hand, heads up here, given the dynamic. And I put it in, and he called reluctantly, I guess. And he had ace-king of clubs, 3-5, which is a pretty bad hand in PLO. And the flop was sort of like, hold, the door card's an ace. Then it got infinitely worse. It came deuce and a 4 of clubs. So he flopped top pair, nut flush draw, and a straight. But the deuce hit the turn, so all of a sudden I had a deuce or a queen to win. But it bricked again, and after that hand I had 580,000 left. Jeez. With 9 million in play. And then I won another all-in. And then I finally won the big one where I had 9, 8, 7, 5. And got in versus aces, and I won that one. To get even, I had chipped up to about 2 million when this hand came up. So we're about even. Then I won some more pots, and finally had them covered. And the final hand came down. It was I had flopped top set of tens on a 10-4-6. I checked him on the flop. He bet. I check raised his pot. He called. Turn was a 9, so 7, 8 made a straight. He checked. I bet like almost full pot. The board's so scary, and there were 2 flush draws at this point. There were hearts and diamonds up there, so I was just like, I gotta pound the pot. So he instantly says all in. I'm like, oh my god, I just bet right into 7, 8 here, and I didn't really expect him to have 7, 8 because I thought anything he could call a flop with 7, 8. I thought he would get it in with most combos of 7, 8 on the flop. He would have gone ahead and potted right back on the flop. So it's like, okay, I didn't like insta-call. I wasn't really net rolling, but just like sigh and call. And he had he had 3 diamonds in his hand. King Jack, that was his hand. He needed a queen or diamond.
Okay.
And then ace and spades hit the river.
Nice.
And everybody was sweating whether or not I had him covered, but I knew I had him covered. Yeah. Before the hand. They were all like, what are they doing? And the tournament directors counted it out, and I was just sitting there calmly. I knew it was over. Nobody else knew yet. And he's like, yep, it's over. He's like, I don't know. I was like, I knew, and then we all celebrated, of course.
Congratulations on your second bracelet and your second comeback. And so what's next for you?
Gonna probably play the 50K horse tomorrow for the first time. A little nervous about that.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, the series is almost over, so the main event, and relax for a while before, I guess, World Series of Poker Europe and Aruba and stuff.
All right.
I'm gonna go on a vacation for sure.
Yeah.
Already planned going to Cabo.
Nice. That sounds
yeah,
awesome.
It'll be a lot better than hanging out in the Rio.
Yeah.
They should really have this tournament during the winters when you're supposed to be sitting inside all day.
True.
It's so nice outside, and we're sitting in a poker room all day, every day. It's terrible.
True. No poker players have suntans, I've noticed.
I do.
I know, it's pretty nice.
Thank you.
You're like one of the only.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks so much, Matt, for coming in.
All right.
Christian Knight with Matt Graham for Card Player TV.